ski mask ordered Roger to tie her up.
She heard the assailant say, "Stop or I'll shoot."
Then she hears a gunshot.
It appears that Roger fought back and tried to unmask the assailant.
They found a backpack that had duct tape, some nylon rope, as well as a knife.
He brought all the tools to commit a murder.
It did feel like it was premeditated, that my dad and mom were the target.
Who stands to gain from the death of Roger?
Roger wanted out of the marriage and was concerned about DJ taking his money.
You believe Roger may have staged this attack?
My impression was Roger knew who the assailant was, and Roger had some play in his...
21st, 1985. It was just after 7:30 on a cold, breezy Thursday morning when the Douglas County Sheriff's Office got a troubling report about gunfire in a safe section of town. Can you describe the bizarre 911 call that came in that morning?
It was just one of those strange calls that you don't think you're going to get.
911, what do you hear, Megan?
Shots fired, man down in a cul-de-sac. It was a small community, everyone knew each other. They knew Roger Dean, and Roger was dying right there in front of them.
When Detective Tony Spurlock arrived, he saw 51-year-old Roger Dean sprawled out in a pool of blood in his driveway.
Roger was hit in the chest and stomach area.
Did you get the impression that Roger's injuries were really severe?
I had no idea how many times he had been shot, but the way that the paramedics were working on him led me to believe that something was seriously wrong.
As emergency workers managed to get the beloved businessman into the ambulance, officers spoke with Roger's wife, DJ, who was in a state of shock, standing barefoot in just a bathrobe, trying to relay the life-shattering series of events that had just unfolded. What did DJ Dean tell police had happened?
She told officers that she got up in the morning and she was taking a bath, and then she heard Roger's voice calling her into the bedroom.
DJ was confused and said she would be there in a minute, but Roger was insistent.
Roger asked her to come out from the bathtub right away.
DJ grabbed a towel and put on her robe. As she opened the bathroom door, she had no clue of the nightmare that awaited her.
She saw Roger sitting on the bed, and then she saw an unknown assailant that had a firearm pointed at Roger.
It was a man in dark clothes with a ski mask on and a gun.
Roger stood up when the intruder quietly gave him a chilling order.
The assailant ordered Roger to tie her up, lay her on the bed face down.
Roger slowly did what he was told.
She was tied up with some rope, and then she had duct tape put over her eyes.
DJ was lying helpless on the bed, uncertain of what might happen next, when she suddenly realized that her husband and the intruder were no longer in the bedroom.
Roger, apparently at this point, was in another room down the hall.
She could hear them, but really not clear about what was being said.
Then the masked intruder returned.
She said that the assailant came over and touched her a couple times on the back.
It was then that the intruder made it clear what he wanted.
He was asking, how much money do you have? She was very distinct in saying that it was calm and polite.
Eventually, she did disclose that they had $30,000.
At that moment, a loud noise from down the hall caught the intruder's attention. Did the attacker say anything else to her?
No, he left. Then she hears a commotion where it sounded like Roger was arguing with an individual. this is where it's uttered out loud, "I'll give you the $30,000. She then hears what believes to be as a struggle.
She heard the assailant say, "Stop or I'll shoot."
With duct tape over her eyes and her hands still bound behind her back, DJ couldn't move. She was paralyzed with fear. What did she say happened after that?
She hears a gunshot.
The deafening blast sent an adrenaline rush through DJ, and somehow she managed to get to her feet.
She says that she's able to stand up. She could not pull the tape off, but she could see through the bottom. She walked out of the bedroom, and she could hear Roger out on the driveway.
Did you hear any more gunfire?
She heard about 3 more rounds, and she heard Roger screaming as well.
Once outside, a neighbor who had rushed over helped DJ remove the duct tape from her eyes, revealing a scene that would haunt her for the rest of her life.
She remembered rushing out into the street to tend to her husband who was dying.
To detectives, DJ's story was stunning. None of them had ever worked a case that was anything like this one. It appeared that Roger Dean had been shot multiple times during a home invasion robbery gone terribly wrong. Do you think the struggle started when Roger attempted to break free?
Yes, I think he tried to do what he thought was best to protect DJ.
Still, those initial theories would slowly change as police analyzed the evidence from around the Dean home. Each clue seemed to raise new questions about what really happened that morning and why.
There were witnesses that saw the assailant come out of the house. They heard shots fired. They saw Roger Dean fall to the ground. And that's where the twists start to begin. It was bizarre.
Police were still processing the crime scene of a shocking home invasion when one of the victims, Roger Dean, was officially declared dead at a nearby hospital from multiple gunshot wounds. The case was now a homicide investigation. It was an unimaginable blow for Roger and DJ Dean's daughter, Tamara, who was just 23 years old at the time. How did you find out that someone had been shot at your home?
I came around the corner and there's all the flashing lights from the police vehicles and the ambulance, and the road was blocked off. I was very confused.
Tamara says that something terrible had happened to someone she loved.
I saw my mom sitting on the couch in her bathrobe, but I kept asking, "Where's Dad?" And finally somebody said he had been shot and was killed. It was so surreal, such a shock.
Tamara had treasured her father, who was the rock of their family. How close were you and your father?
Very close. When my heart hurt, it was always my dad I went to for comfort.
What was it like growing up in your family?
We were the Leave It to Beaver family. My mother was absolutely stunning. My dad was the businessman. His discipline was incredible.
Roger had run a successful food brokerage that supplied local groceries and restaurants. His kindness and generosity made him a pillar of the community. Residents wanted his killer caught and fast. Police hoped that Roger's autopsy would provide a break on the case. What was the medical examiner able to determine?
During the autopsy, they located 4 .38 caliber slugs, which could be either a .357 or a .38.
There was evidence of stippling, so the barrel of that gun would have to have been within probably 6 to 12 inches.
Police believe those point-blank shots took place while Roger desperately fought with his attacker for control of the gun. The struggle led to a shooter fleeing the crime scene.
I saw a trail of footprints that led from the top of the driveway across this yard to an area where we later learned the assailant's car was parked.
Police found evidence that confirmed that Roger and DJ had been the victims of a carefully orchestrated plan.
In the Dean residence, they found a backpack that had a roll of duct tape, some nylon rope, as well as a knife.
The items and the bag had been brought in by the killer. In fact, the killer had left behind more than just his knapsack. Police found the ski mask he had worn in the living room. Did investigators believe the killer lost his mask during a struggle with Roger?
Yes, they do.
Roger tried to unmask the assailant, see who was robbing him, to see if he knew who he was.
Police were intrigued. If the assailant had fled the Dean home unmasked, they hoped that someone had seen the man who had shot Roger. And within hours of the murder, multiple neighbors came forward. What kind of descriptions did they share?
They reported that it was a white male.
Several residents had watched in horror as he sprinted to the corner and jumped into a car.
Some different descriptions on what kind of car it may have been.
Could they make out his face?
They could not. Description of height from 5'8" to 6 foot and slender.
But those initial descriptions were thrown into doubt when an unlikely new witness surfaced, one who claimed to have seen far more than the others.
There was a 9-year-old girl. She looked out the window after she heard gunshots.
Her bedroom window looked straight into Roger DJ's driveway and front door.
She saw the assailant run from the Dean house to a car and drive away.
And how did she describe the man she saw?
She described him as a black man.
Investigators were skeptical about her report. The frightened child was the only person who claimed that the shooter had been black. What did they do to try to test her memory?
The very next morning, we had a white male officer walk the same path that she described. And an officer stood where she was at in the room, and that officer couldn't tell the race.
Police were confident that shadows from neighborhood trees had influenced what the young girl had seen.
They made a determination that although her statement was partially correct, her identification of the race of the individual was not.
Investigators understood that the vague description of the shooter and his car weren't much to go on. They knew the key to finding this brazen killer relied on answering a difficult question. Why were Roger and DJ Dean his chosen targets? Detectives investigating Roger Dean's murder were piecing together his wife's puzzling account. Their focus was on the terrifying moments just before the gunshots began. A search of the home revealed evidence that showed where the two men went when they left the bedroom.
Roger was taken to Tamara's room, and he was sat down in a chair. He was tied up by some cord.
Investigators assumed the loud crash DJ heard next was caused by Roger breaking free from that chair. But Roger's autopsy report left them doubting that theory. During the autopsy, what odd evidence was discovered?
One of Roger's hands was securely tied. The other one didn't appear that it was tied. His wrist didn't look like there was any abrasions on it.
It appeared Roger would have had no problem getting out of his bindings. And additional questions were raised about how effective the duct tape over Roger's glasses had been.
His glasses had duct tape over the lenses.
If I were planning this type of crime, I think I would probably do what the assailant had Roger do to DJ. Take the duct tape and cover his eyes without the glasses.
And the decision seemed even stranger when Roger's autopsy revealed that he didn't need his glasses that morning.
We determined that Roger had his contact lenses in.
The odd discrepancies led investigators to re-examine every aspect of the crime, including why Roger had even been home that morning. They learned it wasn't his normal routine.
Roger would get up at 5:15 and leave the house when it's dark, but Roger had gotten up a little bit later because he had a late night meeting.
Police were suspicious. Who else knew about Roger's change of plans?
Would maybe lend some inference that did he know his attack?
Even the killer's demand seemed confusing. He wanted cash the Deans had in the bank.
That raised red flags. How is someone getting this money?
And how did the killer know the couple had that kind of money in their account? A review of the Dean's bank records indicated that a large portion of the $30,000 had only been transferred there very recently.
He was writing checks from the business and depositing it into personal accounts.
As police analyzed all the information, a new theory suddenly emerged. Could Roger Dean himself have somehow been involved in planning the attack?
The duct tape over the eyeglasses, the money, naturally that would lead the investigators to a suspicion.
Was Roger able to untie himself? Or was Roger's hand free?
It was beginning to look like it was more staged than anything else.
What would have been his motive for doing that?
If he was just going to be robbed, could this be an insurance claim where he could recoup that money?
But no matter what the plan was, it was clear something had gone terribly wrong.
I don't think Roger would have said, hey, I want to die.
Still, police began to explore every potential motive for staging the attack, and they quickly found several.
We found evidence that Roger was having an affair with someone that he worked with, and then DJ found out about it.
I knew who she was. She had worked for my dad for 10 years. It was a challenging time.
Roger and DJ were going through some marital strife, and he had just recently moved back home.
According to Roger's family, he had ended the affair when he moved back in with DJ. But investigators heard a different story.
We had witnesses that said that Roger secretly was back in the relationship.
It was news to Roger's loved ones.
We never knew that he was still single, obviously. My mom had no clue.
Detectives now believe Roger's secret life may have led to his death.
Roger was having an affair. We had witnesses that stated that Roger was concerned about DJ taking a lot of his money. Maybe this was a fake home invasion to get some money out of the bank. We went down that path, figures.
But that wasn't the only path detectives were exploring.
One of the first places investigators look is who stands to gain from the death of Roger.
It turned out that nearly everything Roger had went to DJ Dean. Could everything police uncovered seemed to further shroud the mystery. It appeared the only way detectives would ever learn the truth was to find the man behind the mask. The Douglas County Sheriff's Office was exploring every possible angle for Roger Dean's murder. Those potential motives forced detectives to ask both his wife and daughter sensitive questions. What was it like to be exposed to these highly contradictory theories of what might have happened?
They were investigating all these paths, and it was extremely hard to take.
Perhaps the most difficult thing for loved ones to accept was that none of those paths had led police to a suspect. Weeks became months, and then years, and there was still nothing more than vague circumstantial evidence for police to look into. How would you characterize where the case was at that point?
Investigators didn't have any new leads to follow up on. By the late 80s, the case was pretty cold.
Despite the swirling suspicions around their family, Tamara and DJ had done their best to move forward. But without an arrest, they had to constantly wonder if the man who killed Roger could someday re-enter their lives. And 5 years later, that's just what happened. When a letter addressed to DJ reopened all those old wounds.
I had just moved back from California, and I looked over and her face was just kind of ashen. And I'm like, what are you reading? And she just couldn't even really speak, so I grabbed the letter out of her hands. It was this extortion letter.
The words in the note were terrifying.
He said he was the person that murdered my dad and that he felt he had money coming to him.
The killer demanded $150,000 or else.
If my mom didn't pay it, he would kill me.
The consequences for contacting law enforcement were the same.
If you do not do exactly what you were told, if you do anything, I mean anything to draw police on the case, I will wait until they can no longer protect her and kill her.
The author made it clear he had been watching Tamara's every move for weeks.
If she leaves, I can find her.
How terrified were you?
I knew the threat was real. The anxiety was really intense. I was just picking up the pieces and moving forward, and now we're right back.
Despite the obvious risks, DJ and Tamara made the difficult decision to bring the letter to the police. When you analyzed that letter, did you believe it was likely sent by her killer?
What was in the letter, the tone and the way that it was written, led us to believe that it was the person who committed the murder.
There were details inside the letter that were not released to the public, that only law enforcement and the killer knew about.
And the threats quickly began to escalate.
Very shortly after that, phone calls come in to DJ's house.
You better get back to me really soon, DJ. I want my money.
He's saying, I'm watching you. I know what you're doing.
With the help of the FBI, police traced the calls to a series of payphones around Denver, but each time they arrived too late.
We were so close, we had an FBI agent in the parking lot at a 7-Eleven within 30 seconds of the phone call and didn't see anybody on the phone.
Police told DJ she would have to go through with the money drop after all.
DJ, you have my money ready?
I'll have the money tomorrow night, or I change my cell phone and Tammy moves where you can't find her.
And they would be with her every step of the way. Law enforcement set up a sting operation to catch the extortionist. What happened? instructions to a T. Did the caller ever come to collect the money?
We had it under surveillance for a significant amount of time. No one ever came.
A phone call to the Dean's home made it clear that the killer had recognized law enforcement's track.
He called the house and said that she had messed up and he would be coming for me. It might be 6 weeks, 6 months, or 6 years, but that he would kill me.
She had a knee. How did she stop?
And I lost it. Killing my dad wasn't enough.
Investigators were just as frustrated. How disappointing was it that the sting operation failed?
We're so close to just be demoralized. This guy is still out on the loose.
I had developed a relationship with Tamara and DJ. I had seen their pain. We had an opportunity to catch this person and we were unable to do it.
But no one on the case was giving up. An investigator's tireless review of the file revealed that Roger Dean himself had actually left behind a clue that might lead police to his killer. Police had narrowly missed capturing Roger Dean's killer, who had returned to torment DJ and Tamara.
He threatened that he was going to kill Tammy, to kill the one person that DJ had left in her life. She's reliving the nightmare.
After the last menacing call, the killer went silent, but law enforcement remained on the case. Still, it would take more than a decade until advances in forensic testing provided them with a new lead. What did you end up testing that was critical to breaking this case wide open?
We tested the ski mask. We were able to get a DNA marker. We also had DNA off of the bag that was left behind and contents inside the bag.
Investigators were elated. For the first time in the entire investigation, they had physical evidence that linked a suspect to the crime. Hoped that those clues would lead them to the killer's front door. But the major break quickly became another dead end when the DNA sample failed to yield a hit in CODIS. How disappointing was that?
Extremely disappointing.
But the DNA analysis did provide a stunning new detail. The suspect was African American, not white. What was the reaction of law enforcement?
They were shocked. They were only looking for a white man for more than 30 years.
It turned out the young girl police doubted had been right. And it wouldn't be the last major surprise of the investigation. In 2019, police turned over all of their evidence to investigative genealogy expert Michelle Kennedy. Where did your job start?
My job started by building the family trees for the DNA relatives. It can be a complicated, long-term process.
Did that process give you a family name?
It did. It reduced the suspect pool down to 2 brothers.
The results were mind-boggling. A decades-old mystery was suddenly on the brink of being solved. And when the FBI eliminated one of the brothers' DNA, the suspect pool was now down to a single target, Michael Jefferson. Was that a name that was anywhere in the case file?
We had never seen that name ever.
And nothing in the initial deep dive into Jefferson's past indicated police were on the right track. What did you end up learning about Michael Jefferson?
Grew up in California. He moved to Colorado, obtained a bachelor's degree in psychology, worked as a pharmacy tech.
Did he have a criminal history?
Nothing of note.
The lack of felony convictions explain why Jefferson's DNA wasn't in the CODIS system. investigators did know one detail that lined up.
He had lived in Denver in 1985.
But he was no longer in the city. Investigators knew they had to locate Jefferson if they wanted to close the case. Captain Joel White was part of the team that decided to focus the search in Los Angeles.
We knew that Michael had a brother, and we put a pole cam on the brother's house. And I'll never forget the day that we watched him walk up to the house.
How did the arrest come down?
We contacted LAPD. We had surveillance units, undercover units, and a helicopter. He climbed into Uber, and they stopped him and took him into custody.
Investigators hope the arrest was just the first step in getting the answers that had eluded them for decades. You had been chasing this man for more than 40 years. What was it like for you to finally sit across from him and be able to question him?
It was a combination of exhilaration and relief. I knew without a question he was the murderer of Roger Dean.
But Jefferson repeatedly denied the allegations.
Do you recognize this guy at all?
What did he admit to?
Very little. He admitted to being in Denver at the time.
Police asked Jefferson if he had ever seen the knapsack or ski mask found at the crime scene.
What is that? Is that the backpack?
He said the ski mask was never his. He never wore one. The backpack wasn't his.
The DNA testing proved that was a lie. In your mind, were his denials to those very specific questions as powerful as a confession?
Absolutely. He basically gave all deniability. We gave him out. He didn't take that.
At the end of the interrogation, Michael Jefferson was officially charged with extortion and murder. Sheriff Darren Weekly remembers sharing the news with Tammy.
I sat with Tammy and I just told her we got it. She couldn't believe it at first. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. It's one of those moments in my career that I will never forget.
I don't even have words to describe how that feeling felt. It was unbelievable. It was mind-blowing.
Unfortunately, Tamara wasn't able to experience the moment with her mother. DJ had passed away just months before the sheriff's visit. How much pain did it cause to know that she died just as justice was being reached?
She would have loved to have seen that day. I wish she would have been able to hang on a little bit longer.
And the decades-old allegation that Roger had somehow been behind his own murder was finally put to rest when a former love interest of Jefferson's came forward with an incredible story.
After we had made the arrest and we posted his picture, an individual calls us up and says, I know who that guy is. I used to be his girlfriend.
The tipster revealed that in the 80s, she had also been one of Roger Dean's secretaries. She admitted that she regularly discussed her with her then boyfriend.
We were able then to tie the fact that Michael Jefferson and Roger Dean had money, knew a lot of secrets about Roger Dean, and took advantage of it.
Made sense. Jefferson had insider knowledge of Roger's life, and after his arrest, recordings of Jefferson's prison calls left no doubt that he was the man who tormented DJ and Tamara after the murder. Did the voice on those calls sound like the voice of the extortionist?
Yes, I'm convinced that the person who called DJ is the same person I heard on jail calls.
At an analysis of Jefferson's lifestyle and behavior through the years left police convinced that the motive for both the murder and the extortion was the same: pure greed.
This man is motivated by one thing: money. It was always about money.
So, what do you think Jefferson's plan actually was that morning?
Robbery was 100% his motive. He showed up that day to the Dean residence, and he was going to get Roger's money.
I think that when Roger pulled off his mask, then he had no choice. Him and Roger were face to face, and he fires multiple rounds into Roger's body. And then he runs away.
Prosecutors worried that without DJ Dean's testimony about how the home invasion had unfolded, his defense team might convince a jury the shooting was an accident.
There was concern that a defense attorney could make such a compelling argument to a jury that the jury could potentially find Michael Jefferson guilty of a significantly lesser charge.
A deal was ultimately reached in which Jefferson pled guilty to conspiracy to commit murder and was sentenced to 32 years in prison. Given Jefferson's age and health issues, he will likely spend the rest of his life behind bars.
They say justice delayed is justice denied.
For Tamara, Jefferson's conviction did little to ease her 40 years of suffering.
There is no price tag, no way for him to pay the debt he owes my family. The only thing he can give now is his freedom.
But the decades-long fight for justice has given Roger's daughter a renewed faith in herself.
When I look at myself as a child, I had no self-confidence, no belief in myself. And what I've taken away is I am not a weak person. I am a strong person. I can endure whatever comes my way.
Tamara hopes to one day write a book about the case and how it was ultimately solved. How much gratitude do you have to the many different generations of law enforcement that were on this case and never gave up?
There are no words to appropriately thank them. I felt like they gave their all to me and my mom and my dad.
What part of your father lives on in you today?
I definitely have his personality, his work ethic, his love of his family. I feel so much of my dad in me all the time.
What was it about this case that really got your attention?
She's raped, stabbed, and set on fire. Who could do something like this to a young mother?
The inhumanity is just beyond my comprehension.
It was horrifying, and it made me feel just sick.
She was driving, and she looked like she had a flat tire.
The car's smoking a little bit. She thinks the car's going to catch on fire.
Rachel told her friend that she was getting out there. She was walking home.
I always say there's nothing good happens at 2:30 in the morning.
The similarities were just very strong in the two cases.
A female is found burned up in the trunk of a car.
He had confessed to the Lutz homicide. Then we accused him of killing Rachel Johnson, and he denied it.
You have prosecuted brutal homicide cases. Can you ever remember the man who was able to enmesh himself in his victims' families' lives?
In 30 plus years of being a prosecutor, I've never seen anything like it.
He was very sick.
March 30th, 1991. It was a brisk Monday morning when the Akron Police Department got a disturbing call. The chilling report sent officers all over the city scrambling.
He sees something on fire in the street. He gets a little closer, thinks it's a mannequin. As he gets even closer, he figures out this is a human. She was still smoldering.
All those grisly details echo echoed across police radio. Veteran investigators were stunned. What were you thinking as you drove to the crime scene?
Your mind's kind of racing. It's a pretty horrific thing to burn somebody up.
And that sense of disbelief only deepened when Officer Charlie Snyder arrived to secure the area. Describe to me what you saw as you pulled up to the scene.
She was nude from the waist down. Her arms were spread open, and the upper portion of her body had been burnt. It was very hard to look at. The inhumanity is just beyond my comprehension.
Officer Snyder made his way through the grim haze to get a closer look at the victim, who was clearly dead. What came into focus once the smoke and the fire cleared?
The left side of her throat had been cut, and she had stab wounds in her chest.
It appears that she is dead before she is set afire.
Still, all the evidence indicated that the young woman had suffered through a brutal attack. Was it obvious to you that this murder was sexually motivated?
Because of the position of the body, it appeared to be, yes.
The crumpled gray jacket and the black sweater casually tossed alongside the victim's body added weight to that theory. Investigators were troubled that there was no purse nor wallet that might identify the victim. Was her face burned beyond recognition?
Yes, there was obviously some type of accelerant that was used. That is what kept the fire going. The detectives collected the clothing, some of the soil around that area to try to determine what that accelerant was.
What evidence were you able to gather from the crime scene?
Well, there was some jewelry, earrings. There was a key that had a token on it.
The inscription on the charm was poignant.
This is, whoever has this key has the key to my heart.
The heartbreaking details added to the detective's resolve to find the sadistic madman responsible for this unthinkable crime. Could you get any sense, as you walked around the scene, whether she had been killed there, or if she had been stabbed somewhere else and then disposed of in the street?
The impression was that the death hadn't happened there. This was just a disposal site.
There's no blood at the scene. She was dumped there.
The location was a lightly populated street alongside a field where locals sometimes burn trash.
The area, it's more of an industrial warehouse type place.
It was kind of a secluded spot.
Still, there were some businesses close by and homes a few blocks away. Police went door to door looking for a witness.
We conducted neighborhood canvass, trying to determine if anybody at those houses may have seen anything.
Could you find any witnesses from those homes who had seen the fire?
No, we didn't get the answers.
Did they find anyone who witnessed the body being dumped?
No, there's no eyewitnesses. Nobody sees anybody dump her out of the car.
Still, police did find several witnesses who had noticed smoke and flames just after 7:30 that morning. Since small, controlled fires were common, no one paid much attention to it.
He's going to breakfast and he sees the fire, but he doesn't stop to look. Later, when he finds out what happens, then he comes and makes contact with police. Said, hey, I saw the fire, but I didn't see anybody.
Other men who arrived on the scene around 7:15 had not initially seen the blaze, but they did remember seeing something odd as they left a half hour later.
The guys were out there to load construction equipment up on their truck. They load up their equipment. As they're leaving, they see the fire in the street.
The two reports allowed police to assemble a loose timeline. It now appeared that sometime after 7:15 and before 7:40 that morning, the killer had placed the young woman's body in the street, poured accelerant on it, and set it on fire. Were officers confident that their time frame was accurate?
Yeah, I would say within 5 minutes or so either way. Relatively close to that.
The narrow window of time spoke to the killer's mindset. He was in a hurry, but not bothered by what he was doing. Facts that only heightened his callous disregard for human life.
She's thrown into the street like a piece of garbage and set on fire. Who could do something like this to another human being, and why?
So far, police had no answers, and the investigation lacked direction. But one thing seemed painfully obvious. The killer was a local who had carefully chosen a location where his crime might blend into the background. And that meant it might be just a matter of time until he struck again.
There was nothing we could do for her other than try to solve the case. I just can't imagine having that much hate to do that to somebody. It's got to be a monster.
Akron police were still trying to absorb the unthinkable details surrounding the murder of an unidentified young woman found smoldering in the street. They hoped her autopsy might provide new clues as to what happened and why. How many stab wounds had she suffered?
It was somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 or 9.
Were detectives able to determine what kind of weapon had been used?
The coroner at the time believed that it was some type of knife, something that had more of a smooth blade to it. No hilt.
Had she been restrained?
There are some bruisings on her wrists, but those appeared more like she was held down. There's no real defensive marks on her.
Did that indicate to you that she had been ambushed and didn't have time to react?
Correct. She was incapacitated almost immediately. She didn't have time to react to whatever happened to her.
The autopsy did recover physical evidence of a motive, one that matched the conclusion investigators reached at the scene. Was the coroner able to confirm that she had been sexually assaulted?
Yes, she had been sexually assaulted.
Biological evidence was recovered, but at the time, it wasn't of much value. In fact, the coroner's report provided police almost nothing new to go on. Did you get the sense that whoever killed this young woman was convinced that he could destroy all the evidence that might connect him to the crime?
I believe that was the intent on the fire, was to try to conceal and destroy anything that would be left over.
The fire also made identifying the victim far more difficult. Investigators brought everything they knew about the young woman to the local media.
Sunday morning, there's an article in the paper about this unknown female that is found in the north side area of Akron.
They hoped a reader might connect the details police provided to someone they knew.
She has 2 small tattoos, a small cross on her hand, and a small heart on her ankle.
The plan quickly paid dividends. A young woman called the paper saying her sister-in-law had tattoos just like the ones mentioned.
They asked the sister-in-law to come to the coroner's office where she identified the earrings and some of the other items. From that, they got dental records and made a positive ID.
Who was the victim?
Rachel Johnson.
And the tragedy of her murder deepened as police began to put together a victimology. What did you end up finding out about Rachel Johnson?
She's a young mother. She has a young toddler at home, 3-year-old Caitlin. The father, Tom, they had a on-again, off-again relationship.
She liked to go out with friends, sociable. She was very loved.
When police contacted the rest of Rachel's family, they were devastated, especially her younger sister, Layla. Who broke the news to you that tragedy had struck Rachel?
That was my father. We were having Easter dinner, and I was just sitting there at the table, and he said, you know, we just got a call. Rachel died. And I went down the stairs and locked myself into one of the bathrooms and cried for a while.
You were just 13 years old. How did you process the news?
Slowly. I couldn't quite get my mind around it. I just remember trying to be very quiet and very small and stay out of the way.
How much information did your parents share with you about what had happened to Rachel?
Very little at first. I knew something violent had happened. I just remember thinking, what a terrible world.
It was a nightmare. We were so distraught. Rachel had been a force of nature, fearless and carefree. Everything you'd want in an older sister.
I sort of idolized her growing up. She was so pretty. She had all the friends, she had the boyfriends. She didn't care what people thought. She was just Rachel.
Layla had just reached the age where they could be even closer. You got to see your sister as a mother. How much did she love that part of her life?
She was a great mother. All the cute little names she used to use when Caitlin was a baby. She just always had her with her. She would take me out on outings with them, and I would get to be part of things.
How would you describe where she was in her life?
She had gotten an apartment that was about a mile from the house. I mean, she was focused on Caitlin and turning the apartment into a home.
As detectives tried to connect the details of the crime with Rachel's life, they focused on a terrifying question. How had the young woman wound up on the side of the road miles from her home? And who wanted her dead? One from a close friend who helped fill in critical details about the young mother's last hours alive. What did you end up learning from Rachel's friend who she had been with that night?
They had been dancing, been to a few bars, then left a little bit after 2:30.
Rachel's friend Lisa told detectives that while they were on the way home, she had car trouble.
They were driving in a lady's car, and she realized she had a flat tire.
They're going down a road, and there's some railroad tracks there. When they go over the railroad tracks, the flat tire comes upon them within 2 minutes of leaving the last bar.
The young woman said that she had no spare and decided to keep driving. But with each mile, the flat was getting worse.
The rubber of the tire, because it's on the rim, it builds up friction and builds up heat, and eventually will start smoking.
Rachel said the situation was getting dangerous.
The car's smoking a little bit. She thinks the car's gonna catch on fire.
Rachel said that she wasn't going to ride in the car anymore. She wanted to get out.
When the car stopped at an intersection, Rachel suddenly jumped out. They were still several miles from home. Was her friend concerned about her?
She didn't want her to leave, but she couldn't talk her out of it.
She knew when Rachel had her mind made up that there was no change in her mind of what she wanted to do.
Investigators were stunned when Lisa told them where Rachel had exited the car.
They are not even a mile away from where she's found burning in the middle of the street.
Detectives pressed Rachel's friend for every detail of that final encounter. What else did her friend Lisa see as she pulled away?
She sees another car that pulls in right behind her, and then a smaller gray car.
Several other witnesses who were at the intersection also reported seeing Rachel get out of Lisa's car. Did anybody actually see her get into a gray car?
They didn't. Nobody sees her get in the car, but they're not there long enough to even know if she got in or not.
Still, authorities were now convinced the driver of that gray car had played a role in Rachel's murder.
The investigation gears towards this gray car. They believe she got into this car.
Police put out an APB on the gray car, but witnesses vague and varied descriptions of it made identifying it almost impossible. Meanwhile, detectives turned their attention to potential suspects.
We followed up to try to interview as many people as we could.
What do you think was more likely? That this was a crime of passion or that it was a random attack?
It's definitely personal anytime you have a stabbing.
One name quickly rose to the top of the detectives' list. Who is the first person of interest in this case?
The father of her child, Tom.
The couple had only recently split up, and most people believe that Tom was the one who was reluctant to let go. How much tension had there been in their relationship?
There was some reports that when she left the bar with somebody else, he had followed her home. There was bouts of that jealousy. There was definitely some volatile moments in that relationship.
Did Rachel ever express to her family or friends that she lived in fear of him?
She did make some statement that if anything ever happened to her, to look into Tom.
The ominous plea was now very alarming. Detectives believed it was time to approach the father of Rachel's daughter. When you interviewed Tom, was he cooperative?
He was relatively forthright, told us that he was okay with the relationship ending.
Did he show any compassion for what had happened to Rachel?
Yeah, he did, yes. He said it's the mother of his child.
Tom was stoic, but clearly devastated. And he was shocked when investigators began to grill him about his whereabouts between 2:30 and 7:45 on the morning Rachel's body was found.
He was at his place of employment early Saturday morning. He clocked in before 5 o'clock in the morning. He clocked out at noon.
Tom's story appeared to eliminate him as a suspect in Rachel's murder.
We know that that fire is sometime between 7:30 and 7:45. He's at his place of employment at the time.
So the employees could verify they saw him during that period of time that he was clocked in for.
Correct.
The airtight alibi was enough for investigators to move on. Many in the community reserved their judgment. The couple's numerous loud arguments and emotional breakups kept Tom as the prime suspect in the court of public opinion. You were quickly singled out as a suspect in Rachel's murder. How did you deal with it?
It just didn't bother me because I knew I didn't do it. But in the eyes of other people that we knew, I was guilty.
Did you feel like people blew up the tension that sometimes existed in your relationship with Rachel?
We had our problems, but we didn't hit it. People portrayed me that I was violent and abusive, and it wasn't like that.
Tom put his head down and ignored the vicious whisper, and instead focused on raising his daughter.
Sometimes I wished I had packed up and moved away, but I never did. I didn't run from it. I just knew I was innocent.
For police, the job was also growing more challenging. And it wasn't until another shockingly similar crime came across their desks that the investigation finally shifted high gear. Police investigating the murder of Rachel Johnson had eliminated the men closest to her, but they were still convinced her attacker was a local. All the evidence pointed to the crime being committed by someone familiar with the area. That news left residents worried there was a sadistic killer on the street. How did it impact the community?
I mean, you're talking about a very horrific crime. That needs questions from the community.
Could you feel the sense of fear in the community in the wake of the murder?
Yeah, especially for the young people. Everybody was shocked by what had happened.
And that terror reached a fever pitch just a month after Rachel's murder, when investigators' worst nightmare was realized. Shortly after Rachel's murder, there was another murder that investigators thought might be linked to hers. What happened?
There is a female that is found burned up in the trunk of a car.
24-year-old Carol Lutz was found just miles from where Rachel Johnson was discovered. Once again, the victim set ablaze. What did you see as the key similarities between Carol Lutz's murder and Rachel's?
The burning is the big thing. And he had to restrain her to put her in the car.
And there was more. Both young women had been out with friends on the night they were last seen alive.
On this night in question, she's out with two different friends. About to have a good time.
But there was also one big difference in the investigations. In Carol Lutz's murder, police had identified a prime suspect, the man she had left the bar with that night, Daniel Wilson.
Within a few days, he's found and confesses to that homicide.
Wilson told police that he was an acquaintance of Carol's, and when she lost track of her friends at the bar, he offered her a ride. But instead of taking her home, he took her back to his place. That's where Wilson's memory got hazy.
His story was kind of bizarre. He said they went to his trailer and they were going to have a couple beers.
He says he has a blackout, doesn't remember anything.
He woke up the next morning and she was locked up in his trunk.
He didn't know how she got there.
And Wilson's story only got harder to believe. Plain hearing Carol's screams sent him into a panic.
He didn't want to go to jail, so he decides it's a good idea to set fire to this car.
The inexplicable decision to burn a young woman to death stumped detectives.
He was afraid of how it was going to look, so then he burnt the car up, which absolutely made no sense. His reactions are not what you would normally suspect a coherent person to do.
Police believed Wilson's capacity for cruelty and his use of fire made him a suspect in Rachel Johnson's murder. And evidence supporting that theory quickly began to mount, including a sighting of Wilson in the area where Rachel's body had been found.
He has a coworker friend at a gas station in Akron where this girl says that, hey, Daniel was in here that same early morning as Rachel Johnson homicide.
Wilson had used gasoline as an accelerant in the Carol Lutz case. Now they wondered if that was the same technique used to burn Rachel Johnson's body.
At that time, we still hadn't identified the accelerant. It was possible it was gasoline.
Investigators sent out Rachel's clothing and other items for testing. And while they waited for those results, police found more clues that appeared to link Wilson to Rachel's murder.
He drives a small gray car.
The description of Wilson's car was a match to the one seen entering the parking lot behind Rachel the night she disappeared.
They consulted with an FBI expert, and that expert went so far as to say, I think Daniel Wilson is the one who committed it.
When Detective Charles Snyder went to see Wilson about the many potential ties he had in Rachel's homicide, he hoped the 21-year-old would confess to the crime as quickly as he had to Carol Lutz's murder. Did he admit to knowing Rachel?
No. I accused him of killing Rachel Johnson, and he vehemently denied it.
Did you believe Daniel Wilson when he told you that he had nothing to do with Rachel's murder?
No, I didn't, but I needed something more conclusive, and that's why we served the search warrant and got the blood and hair samples from him.
Police were confident the result would connect Wilson to the crime. Did the samples match?
Almost a year later, we got the results back from the FBI that they were inconclusive.
Testing of the accelerant found on Rachel's clothing also failed the liquid.
We finally determined that accelerant is not a gasoline, but oil.
Still, the FBI hoped that more advanced testing of biological evidence would prove their case.
What happened when they tested Wilson's DNA?
With the new technology.
The samples didn't match.
And that meant the investigation went back to square one. For years, police looked at any crime with a similar MO.
They're looking at all these cases all over Canada, Maryland, Ohio, Pennsylvania, but nothing that leads to anything concrete. There's no new leads.
Detectives eventually entered the killer's DNA profile into CODIS. Did you get a hit in CODIS?
No, it hits nobody in CODIS.
Was that disappointing?
It was.
Detectives had spent decades chasing clues, hoping to put a name to their unidentified evidence. And they were about to get a break in a way that no one could have expected. Remained a painful mystery. But over the years, they never let law enforcement forget the case.
I couldn't let it lay still. I was in contact with the detectives all the time. I felt that I needed to do that. They had to find who did this.
Started learning about DNA and all the evidence, and I went and asked questions.
Those conversations, the cold case detective Jim Poseidon determined to get answers for Rachel's loved ones.
I started going through and making a list of every male that was mentioned. We're gonna go to their homes, work wherever, and collect their DNA.
But after testing more than 50 samples, he was still no closer to finding Rachel's killer than police were on the day her body was found. What did you do next?
So we have genealogy coming into the national media, a new investigative tool that we're gonna attempt to use.
The investigative genealogy process was tedious and time-consuming, but the hard work eventually paid dividends, narrowing a massive family tree down to just 3 brothers.
How remarkable was it that through genealogy DNA, you could whittle almost an infinite group of people down to 3 as potential suspects?
It's fascinating and remarkable. Being able to go through family trees, first you take it back centuries and then you come back forward.
And when police arrived in the present, old-fashioned police work quickly locked them into the one brother who had ties to Akron at the time of Rachel's murder, Daniel Reese.
They find a traffic ticket that Daniel had gotten in the time frame of when this homicide occurred. Listed his address, which is right next to where Rachel was last seen alive.
What was your reaction when you found out that he lived maybe 100 yards away from where Rachel got out of Lisa's car?
I was absolutely surprised. I have no idea why his name did not appear somewhere in the case file.
Investigators kept digging and found that Reese may have known Rachel.
Daniel Reese went to the same school, they lived in the same neighborhoods, so there started to be a little more connection.
But there was one piece of the puzzle that simply didn't fit. Reese had a clean rap sheet. Still, investigators believe there was a way to get past any lingering doubts.
They found out where Daniel Reese was presently living, and they grabbed Daniel Reese's garbage.
They collected beer cans, some water bottles, and we ended up sending the beer cans up to the crime lab.
Police waited patiently for the results.
When we get that information in the written report, every one of the cans had the same unknown DNA profile that was found inside of Rachel Johnson.
Detective Poseidon was now ready to confront Daniel Reese. He hoped a casual approach might lead to a confession. What happened when you interviewed him?
We start out with, we're investigating an old homicide, and we're just going through people that lived in the neighborhood where she was last seen. He initially gives a statement, I don't remember where I live. He even says that he wasn't sure who we were talking about when we bring up Rachel Johnson.
The detectives then slid Reese several pictures of Rachel. Suddenly, Reese changed his story and claimed he was a family friend.
He remembers, oh yeah, that was Rachel. I'm friends with the father of her baby.
The interview's new direction surprised detectives.
We asked him, have you ever dated Rachel? And he tells me no. I asked if you ever had sex with Rachel. He tells me no.
Investigators had proof that those denials were lies. But the new information forced police to eliminate any possibility of a consensual relationship before making an arrest. And while detectives did their due diligence, their suspect suddenly went on the lam.
You can't find him. He's on the run. We're going to have the fugitive task force go out and look for him.
But before police could launch a statewide manhunt, they got a call from Reese's brother, Tim. How unexpected was a call from his brother?
Oh, completely unexpected. Tim said he hadn't spoken to Daniel for 12 or 13 years. And now Dan tells him, hey, I'm on my way down to see you in Florida, at a hotel, and I just want to tell you that I love you.
Tim explained he wasn't sure what to make of the bizarre message until the next morning when he got a call informing him that his brother Daniel had attempted to kill himself at a nearby hotel.
Daniel, he's saying that he did some bad things. They forced open the door, and he's laying on a loaded handgun.
The police had Reese taken to a nearby hospital for observation. When Tim got there, his conversation with his estranged brother was terrifying.
He says, I killed Rachel and set her on fire.
Tim wanted nothing to do with keeping his brother's secret, so he called police. Detective Poseidon met him at the hospital with an arrest warrant. Did he seem at all surprised that you had finally gotten him?
Oh, yeah. It had to feel like somebody just punched him in the stomach. His time was up.
And that meant the long wait for justice was finally over for Rachel's loved ones. But there was a new wave of pain that came with it. It turned out they knew Daniel Reese. In fact, he had been a neighbor of theirs for many years. When you learned the name of Rachel's killer, how long did it take for the outrage to set in?
I see the detective put the picture over on the table and I saw his face. It's unreal. I'm very betrayed.
How well did you know?
10 years after Rachel died, we bought a house and he lived across the street.
Tom was furious. Reese had accepted invitations to their home and had attended his daughter's 13th birthday party. Caitlin, now 37, remembers that too well.
It's so hard to wrap your head around it. I want to know, why were you in our family functions and at my birthday party? When you do something so horrible, horrendous, why stick around? I don't understand.
But veteran prosecutor Elliot Kolkovich believed he knew the answers.
Daniel Reese seems to really try and ingratiate himself and make himself a part of his victim's family. He enjoyed knowing something that the others didn't and having that kind of power and control.
I think that added to the fun for him. I just think he was so cold and dead inside that it didn't matter.
It takes a sick person to do what he did.
investigators began to formulate a theory of how Rachel and Reese had crossed paths on that fateful evening. What do you think really happened the night that Rachel climbed out of her friend's car?
I think she went to his house because she knew him. What happened inside, who knows? It obviously had something to do with sex, but something happened in there and something violent.
Rachel was beaten, raped, and stabbed to death by someone she trusted. This was a man with no serious criminal history. Did that make sense to you?
No, but when you're stabbed multiple times, you're dumped at a place, you're naked from the waist down, you're sexually assaulted, you're set on fire. There's no accident.
It's really difficult to figure Daniel Reese out. A person that commits this kind of horrific crime and then has no criminal activity.
Reese ultimately pled guilty to aggravated murder. At his sentencing hearing, Rachel's loved ones were able to vent their feelings.
Mr. Reese, how dare you? You are an abomination and a coward. Not just because you're a killer, but your ability to deceive and your absolute lack of remorse. You didn't try to kill yourself because you couldn't live with what you did to Rachel. You tried it because you knew you had been caught.
In the end, Reese agreed.
Everything that these people have said is true. I am a monster. What I did is just horrendous.
In July of 2023, Daniel Reese was sentenced to life in prison. For Rachel's family, it was the end of an unimaginable nightmare. What do you miss most about Rachel?
Having a sister, having that common experience, somebody who's part of your family, but your friend no matter what.
She was just a beautiful person. She would have been a good mother. Her daughter, it's a blessing. Rachel would be very proud.
What did Daniel Reese take away now?
He took away something from me that I'll never even know. Because my whole life would have been different. There is no justice.
What condition was Kay's body in?
She had injury to the bridge of her nose, and the belt of her coat was still around her neck.
It had been used to strangle the victim.
The opportunity presented itself and he took it.
The best term for him is monster.
My father called me, and he told me that she'd been murdered. I just collapsed.
You go into shock. It just didn't make any sense. My heart broke.
I thought of her every day. It was excruciating.
He had been having a couple of affairs.
I did have extramarital affairs. I did not kill her. They couldn't lock down where Chuck had been when this incident had occurred.
He's always been on the front burner, but he maintained his innocence.
Take me back to that moment when you got a phone call that you never thought you were going to get.
I remember picking up the phone, and he said, "We found out who murdered her." The relief was unbelievable.
It was a frigid afternoon in Greeley, Colorado, when Chuck Day contacted police to inform them that his wife of 8 years was missing.
Police Department, speaking, may I help you? Yeah, how do I go about reporting a missing person? Who's the party that's missing? It's an Evelyn K. Day.
Chuck claimed that he had last spoken with his wife at 9 p.m. the previous night, as Kay was coming to the end of her 4 to 10 p.m. shift in the business lab at Ames Community College. What time did he say he expected his wife home that night?
He expected her home by 10:30.
What did he say his reaction was when she didn't show up?
He told detectives that he fell asleep. When he woke up the next morning, he thought that her side of the bed looked like she had slept in it. So he assumed that she had come to bed without waking him, then got up early and went to work.
Still, Chuck couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. It wasn't like Kay not to touch base with him. Did he drive around to look for her?
Yeah, he drove to Ames initially to see if her car was in the parking lot.
Chuck said Kay's car wasn't there. But it wasn't until he got a call from Kay's second job at a real estate agency that he began to worry.
They were expecting her to close a deal at 1 p.m., and then they called him about 2:30 p.m. and said she didn't show up for the deal.
Chuck knew that Kay was far too responsible to miss that critical appointment.
Many alarm bells that went off that she didn't show up for her closing. That's very important.
Chuck told police that's when he began calling everyone the couple knew, asking them to help him look for their red Datsun station wagon. After a few hours, Chuck decided it was time to call the police.
Called Greeley Police Department, Evans Police Department, Colorado State Patrol, and the hospitals.
But before investigators could even come to the Day's home to take Chuck's official missing persons report, colleagues of Kay's noted something odd as they left the community college. A red station wagon. Who discovered Kay's car, and where was it found?
Patricia was an employee at the business building. Patricia's done with work, and she commutes with a man named Warren. Patricia's driving, and about a quarter mile west of the school down a hill, Warren sees a red Datsun parked at the side of the road.
The car appeared to have been hastily parked in an area where there was no reason for it to have stopped. Warren slowly approached the car and peered inside, expecting it to be empty. Instead, what he saw would scar him for the rest of his life. What did he describe actually seeing?
He just said that he looked inside the vehicle and found her face down in the back.
Warren banged on the window, but there was no response.
Patricia went to call 911.
Within minutes, Corporal David Malcolm from the Weld County Sheriff's Office arrived. He shared his chilling memories of that emotional evening in this phone call. Describe to me what you saw when you walked up to the car.
The car was kind of half up to the curb, and the back of the car was sticking out. With my flashlight, I could look through the windows and I could see that there was a body inside. I didn't see any movement or any signs of life.
Corporal Malcolm feared the worst. The back was unlocked, and when David slowly lifted it, he found the lifeless body of 29-year-old Kay Day.
We opened up the back hatch of the station wagon, and there was a belt that was looped up over the hinge on this car.
The other end of the belt was tightly tied around Kay's neck. What went through your mind when you saw that?
It had been used to strangle the victim.
Corporal Malcolm stepped aside for the paramedics, but there was nothing they could do. Kay Day was officially declared dead. That grim moment descended into chaos when Chuck Day arrived at the crime scene. Did he seem distressed?
He was upset. You know, he said that was his wife. I said, I understand that, but I can't let you up there. We have to preserve this.
Corporal Malcolm escorted her grieving husband to a nearby police car. How difficult was it to process this crime scene when investigators knew that Chuck Day was sitting within a couple yards of them?
You feel for all members of the family. I just needed him to have a seat with the other officer.
Police silently sealed off the car, carefully inspecting the area for any evidence. What condition was Kay's body in?
She'd been dead for almost a day. She had an abrasion to the left side of her face.
Kay was fully clothed, but broken glasses on the floorboard told more of the story.
They were on the left side of the driver's seat. She had injury to the ridge of her nose from the glasses.
Based on the way Kay had been found, police theorized that she had been attacked as she got into her car and then strangled inside. They believed that it was her killer who had abandoned the station wagon on the side of the road. Was there any forensic evidence at the scene?
They dusted the car completely for fingerprints, and nothing was found from anybody other than Kay, and Chuck's prints were present, which would be normal because they shared that car.
Police also noted that nothing of value had been stolen.
The keys were the only thing that was missing from the car.
The case was now officially a homicide investigation. And the first person police wanted to speak with was already in a squad car. Kay's husband, Chuck Day. The mysterious murder of a hard-working young mother like Kay Day sent shockwaves through the Greeley community. What did investigators end up learning about Kay Day?
Her family, friends, everybody adored her. She was very busy, 2 jobs, 2 children, was helping a friend write a novel.
Kay's family was overwhelmed with grief. How did you find out that your sister had been murdered?
My father called me. He just said, you need to sit down, and he told me that she'd been murdered. I think I just collapsed.
It was a sense of loss that remains difficult to accept more than 4 decades later.
Her last picture of the family is as happy as it could be, just weeks before she was killed. None of us could believe that could happen. She was the kindest, sweetest, most loving person I ever knew.
When I was a little girl, I thought she was the bee's knees. She could play the piano, she was a lifeguard. I wanted to be like her. She was a role model for me.
The portrait Kay's family painted of her only made police even more determined to find her killer. And detectives hoped the coroner's report would give the investigation a direction. What did the autopsy reveal about her murder?
The autopsy noted she had been struck in the face. She had marks from the belt. Ligature strangulation was the cause of death.
The bruising on Kay's face was quickly connected to broken glasses found on the floor of her car.
So these are Kay Day's glasses that she was wearing. The damage to the glasses corresponds to the abrasions that she had. It's believed that the suspect approached her, punched her in the face, breaking her glasses.
Investigators used the evidence to sharpen their theory of the crime.
Her glasses being where they were shows she was probably getting into her car. She was assaulted. That's probably how he initially got control of the car.
The coroner also discovered a potential motive for the crime, one investigators hadn't considered.
The coroner had the presence of mind to do a sex assault examination on her and found seminal fluid.
Until that discovery, detectives had seen little that pointed to the attack being sexually motivated. When her body was found, she was dressed.
Yes, he believed that she dressed herself and wasn't dressed post-mortem. Oftentimes, if it's a sex assault and homicide, they don't bother putting clothes back on.
autopsy report left police with more questions than answers. Detectives believed that the quickest path to their suspect was retracing Kay's last movements, starting with when she closed the business department study hall at the community college.
That night, there were 2 students that left with her, and one of the students said that she had seen Kay at her car. That would have been at 10 o'clock at night.
But the student didn't actually see Kay get into her station wagon. Investigators wondered who could have known that Kay would have been alone and vulnerable that night. Police turned to Chuck Day for answers. Where did he say he was on the night of the murder?
He said he was at home with the boys, so that was his alibi. It couldn't be corroborated since the only witnesses were a toddler and an infant.
And there was more about Chuck's story that raised doubts with detectives. In particular, his statement that he thought his wife had slept in their bed that night.
When he woke up, she wasn't there, but he didn't think anything of that because her job as a realtor allowed her to work non-set hours.
Investigators were skeptical about Chuck's claim that the dent in Kay's pillow had convinced him that his wife had slept at home. If he actually believed that, why had he driven around looking for his wife's car that morning before leaving for his job at the grocery store?
He went to work about 1:15.
It wasn't until more than an hour later that Chuck found out that Kay had been a no-show at her real estate closing.
About 2:30 p.m. is when he started getting concerned.
Was there a reason Chuck had taken so long to report his wife missing? Conversations with Chuck's coworkers added fuel to the detective's suspicions.
People were interviewed, and the story that he had been having a couple of affairs with women where he worked. Several people at the grocery store kind of knew that he was a player.
Detectives believed that a once swirling set of odd clues were starting to take a clear shape. The investigation of Kay Day's murder was now centered on the most obvious suspect, her husband, Chuck Day. Possible signs of trouble in Kay Day's marriage led police working on her murder to set their sights on her husband, Chuck. The news caught Kay's family off guard.
I really liked him. He was very charming and charismatic.
How surprised were you when you heard from her friends that their marriage was quite turbulent?
I was shocked. I had no idea. Their marriage seemed to be fine. She loved her little babies. She loved being a mother.
What did they say about his behavior?
He had had several affairs. That made me think that he was not as wonderful as I thought he was.
Although Kay's family hadn't known about Chuck's cheating, they were aware of the couple's financial woes.
She said Chuck spent a lot of money, so she was keeping a little fund on the side so that she could feel more stable.
And those reports became more troubling when police learned that Chuck had checked up on their accounts before he had even reported his wife missing.
He called his bank to see if his wife had made any withdrawals. That was just an odd thing for him to do.
Detectives brought Chuck into the Weld County Sheriff's Office for questioning.
A lot of ups and downs. We just started yelling and screaming at each other. But I get mad sometimes. I know you. When was the last time you did that? I'd say the last 5 weeks.
Chuck admitted that things had been bad enough that he and Kay had discussed splitting up.
Anytime we really do that, something we do. In the last year, we probably fought each other 3 or 4 times.
While some of Chuck's answers struck detectives as painfully honest, others were less true.
Since you've been married, you know it before. No?
Investigators pressed Chuck about his obvious lie.
You haven't been totally truthful about your extramarital affairs, have you? No, I suppose not. This is bothering us. Okay. Who have you had affairs with? Nellie and Kathy. How long ago was it with Nellie? It's been at least 8 months. About Kathy? This summer. Chuck, we need to get truthful with this thing. I did not kill her. I did have extramarital affairs. I should have told you. Did you ever think about killing her? No.
What did investigators make of the interview?
The strange circumstantial evidence, the stress that they had in the marriage and the affairs, he came across as suspicious to detectives.
And there was more. Police discovered that Chuck had a financial motive as well. A 6-figure insurance policy.
You were going to receive the full benefit of that insurance policy. That's true. She wasn't robbed. You had the only motive. You're the only one who's got a motive. I didn't do anything. I would divorce her. Why would I kill her?
Chuck, you indicated to me earlier you knew that you were going to be the prime suspect. Why is that?
Because I was her husband. She had a large insurance policy. The whole thing is virtually perfect. And it looks that way, except for one thing. I did not kill her.
As investigators turned up the heat, Chuck Day remained cool.
We're concerned about her and the man that killed her. And if that's you, we're going to nail you.
During the polygraph exam, investigators peppered him with questions about why he might have wanted his wife dead.
He did take a polygraph, which, according to the polygrapher, he failed.
Although the polygraph results weren't admissible in court, detectives saw the failed test as proof of Chuck's guilt.
Their intention was they've got the murderer, they're just trying to elicit a confession.
But despite multiple efforts by police, Chuck Day stuck to his story. The investigation was at a crossroads.
Did police ever seriously investigate anyone other than Chuck Day?
Well, no one came up as a strong suspect. Everybody was vetted and had alibis.
Without any physical evidence tying Chuck to the crime, the investigation slowly ground to a halt. For Kay's family, it was a difficult time. Did the police explain to you why they were zeroed in on Chuck Day as her murder?
They did, and it made sense to me.
Did the investigators ever share with you the fact that he had taken a life insurance policy out on Kay?
Yes, that came up.
Was that the first time where you could focus on what you thought could have been a motive for her murder?
That and the affair. It made him look even more guilty.
The appearance of guilt wasn't enough. Police somehow had to find the elusive piece of evidence they needed to prove whether Chuck was her killer. And it turned out that smoking gun was already in the case file. Year-old Chuck Day was directly in the crosshairs of police investigating the murder of his wife, Kay Day. But to prove their suspicions, police still had to find evidence that directly connected Chuck to the attack.
The most glaring thing that they looked at with Chuck was that they couldn't really lock down Chuck's timeline. They couldn't make sense of where Chuck had been when this incident had occurred.
An overnight security guard who patrolled the streets close to the community college provided police with a critical lead. He reported seeing an unusual truck in the area late on the night of the murder.
He told investigators at the time that he thought that there was a Chinook in the parking lot nearby where she was found. Chuck owned a Chinook. It's a Toyota truck with a camper on it.
Chuck insisted it couldn't have been his truck, and he had been home asleep when the crime had taken place.
How did police go about looking into Chuck's story?
They spent a lot of time trying to place his Chinook at the crime scene. Any witnesses that maybe had seen the license plate somehow, they ran through a database of all the registered Toyota Chinooks in Colorado to find out what other vehicles could have been there.
But ultimately, the tip about the Chinook couldn't be corroborated.
It didn't prove that Chuck was there.
Investigators hoped for better luck with the forensic evidence. But in 1979, long before the advent of DNA testing, the best they could do was blood typing. The testing was inconclusive.
Couldn't exclude Chuck, so Chuck stayed in as the primary suspect.
And that the agony Kay's family felt would only become more intense. They wondered if her two young boys were being raised by their mother's killer.
It was excruciating. My first inclination was to bring them home, and I would adopt them and raise them. But when they couldn't put Chuck in jail, I had to give that idea up.
Weeks turned into months, and Chuck Day remained in the spotlight.
Did Chuck Day continue to be a person of interest even when the case was cold?
Yes. Yeah, he was always a person of interest for the case.
And Chuck's actions only added fuel to that fire.
What did Chuck Day do after his wife's murder?
He started seeing an old high school girlfriend, and they eventually got married, and they moved to Fort Collins. She adopted both boys and raised them as her own.
Would it be accurate to say many investigators who work the case believed that Chuck Day got away with murder?
That's accurate, yeah. I think everybody who looked at the case probably thought that. He's always been on the front burner.
As the years passed, Kay's family was forced to come to terms with the reality that they might never know the truth.
Did you lose all hope that the case would ever be solved?
Yeah, I did. There just seemed to be no way that they were going to be able to convict Chuck. There was not enough evidence.
We had a lot of investigators reopen the case, but none of that ever panned out. Our family really didn't think it'd ever be solved.
How much strain did it put on your relationship with Chuck and your nephews with a cloud of suspicion hovering over him?
That was hard because that cloud was there. And when the boys would ask me about that, I would say, we'll never know.
But at least one investigator refused to give up. And Detective Stephen Reeves. He spent years tirelessly searching for answers. And there were clear aspects of the investigation that troubled him.
What didn't add up in your mind?
I could never understand how Chuck was the automatic suspect. This was a murder that was perpetrated to facilitate a sexual assault.
And he saw other clues that seemed to point to another suspect.
The way in which her own belt had been used to strangle her. If he were motivated to kill her, I think he would have came prepared and probably would have disposed of the body differently. It just didn't seem as if Chuck would be the obvious suspect.
As a detective, Reeves worked hard trying to find a lead that might take the investigation in a new direction.
Unfortunately, there wasn't a lot of progress that could be made.
But after Detective Reeves was elected sheriff, he formed a cold case team and assigned his lead detective to the K Day.
This was high priority because we knew that it was losing its window of opportunity for us to find a suspect. So I asked Castellan to put it at the top of the sheet, and he did just that.
Detective Byron Costa carefully went through the Maxit case file and quickly understood the conclusion the original team had reached.
We certainly thought that Chuck was a reasonable suspect. My hope was that maybe I could get a confession out of him. You know, he's older now, maybe he wants to clear his conscience.
Still, Detective Castellan knew there might be an even better way to move the investigation forward, including modern DNA testing. But before he approached his suspect for a sample, he stumbled upon an odd statement Chuck Day had made during his very first interview. The offhanded remark would change everything Detective Castellan believed about the case.
He had just said the second child that was just born in June would be their last child. He had a vasectomy.
As Detective Castellan read the transcript, he noticed the original detectives had no reaction to the comment.
They fortunately noted it in the report, but that was it. They thought it was not a pertinent part of the interview.
But Detective Castellan was confident the detail was something much bigger. And he immediately pulled Kay's autopsy report to confirm his theory.
The autopsy report says there's motile sperm in the semen. Chuck said he had a vasectomy.
Chuck was telling the truth. It was impossible for him to have been the donor.
That was when I realized maybe somebody else is involved. That was a big breakthrough. I don't think Chuck did this.
For decades, police had focused on Chuck Day as the prime suspect in his wife's murder. Now cold case detectives believed they had physical evidence that would exonerate him once and for all.
I was pretty sure that the biological evidence wasn't Chuck's, so let's see who this belongs to.
And unlike the original investigators, Detective Castellan now had a way of doing it with modern forensic testing.
In 2020, we have DNA evidence that we can check in CODIS, so I contacted our lab.
What were the results?
In late August, I get a letter from the Colorado Bureau of Investigation stating that we got a CODIS hit. A name that came out of nowhere, James Dye.
I was shocked. Not that it wasn't Chuck Day. I was shocked that there was results at all. I mean, I was so excited. I could hardly stand it. And then for them to identify a suspect, I was blown away. My next words were, go get him.
But before Detective Castellan went to get James Dye, he did his homework. The research revealed that Dye was a college student in Greeley at the time of the murder.
He was not only a student at Ames, but he was attending night classes at the Trades and Industry building right by the business building. They shared the parking lot.
It was the same parking lot where Kay Day was last seen alive. Meanwhile, Detective Mark Geyer was also making progress sifting through Dye's extensive rap sheet.
What did you learn about Dye as you looked into his criminal history?
That in 1977, he had been arrested for a sexual assault on a woman. Her car had broken down. On the side of the road, she had her son in the car. He was telling her, basically, I won't hurt your child as long as you come with me in the field, where he then proceeded to rape her.
And Dye's MO in the 1977 crime appeared to have links to Kay Day's murder.
After he was done with the sex assault, he asked her to get dressed.
But despite the seemingly overwhelming evidence against him, Dye ultimately got a reduced sentence that allowed him to be a free man on the night Kay was murdered less than 2 years later. Police felt they were now ready to question James Dye. The cold case team located him, living and working in Wichita, Kansas.
Are you James? Can we talk to your man? Yeah, go ahead. All right.
What was Dye's reaction when you showed up at his front door?
He was aloof. He came out and talked to us.
Got a couple questions for you. So, we have recently been opening up some cold murder investigations.
The Weld County detectives had a plan. They told Dye they were looking for witnesses who might have been on campus on the night of Kay's murder.
It was from 1979, the murder of Kay Day. She was found on the Ames campus. Does that sound familiar at all? No.
Did he ever acknowledge knowing Kay?
No.
He said, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know Kay Day. Never heard the story. Never touched her. Never seen her.
His denials eliminated the possibility of a consensual relationship, along with any reasonable explanation for why his DNA would be present.
Was that denial almost as strong as a confession?
Yeah, to me it was. The biological evidence showed he was there.
At the point in time, instead of from Wichita.
I don't think he ever thought he was going to be held accountable for doing this. He did not show any sort of remorse.
I think the best term for him is monster.
The evidence showed that Dye was a serial sexual predator who attacked vulnerable women. Based on everything you know about the case, what do you think happened to Kay that night?
My theory is that he saw her. She's getting in her car. He approaches her, punches her in the face, breaks her glasses, takes her car, sexually assaulted her. Afterwards, he tells her to get dressed. As she's getting dressed, I think he's like, well, last time I did this, I had to go to prison. I know a way I can make sure that doesn't happen. Then he strangled her.
News of the arrest more than 40 years after Kay's murder stunned her family and friends.
Take me back to that moment when you got a phone call that you never thought you were going to get.
I remember picking up the phone and he said, we found out who murdered her. And the first thing I said was it Chuck? And he said, no. And the relief that happened that moment was unbelievable.
When James Dye was arrested, all I could do is just feel horrible for Chuck. My heart broke.
Sheriff Stephen Williams never thought Chuck Day was a killer, and he was proven right. But instead of patting himself on the back, he took a step few in law enforcement would have even considered.
I personally drove down to meet with Chuck because I felt like he deserved that. I had no idea how Chuck was going to react.
It was a powerful moment.
He was very stoic at first and he said, thank you. Thank you for not giving up. And then, sorry, excuse me. It's a little, it's tough. Eventually, he kind of broke down and we cried.
Sadly, Chuck Day passed away before James Dye faced trial.
I just wish he had lived to see the suspect convicted. That will always eat a pit in my stomach.
But in some ways, Chuck was spared from seeing the miscarriage of justice that followed his death. One in which James Dye would once again manage to avoid paying the price for his terrible crimes.
The investigators had provided prosecutors with what they believed an ironclad case against him. What changed everything?
We happened to have an issue with the Colorado Bureau of Investigation where one of their lab analysts was cutting corners on evidence.
It didn't impact our positive finding of this particular suspect, but it would have been hard to argue in court.
Prosecutors feared the defense team might claim that Di and Kay were having an affair, leading the jury to wonder if her jealous husband might be the real killer. Those false allegations would be very difficult to counter in court following Chuck Day's death.
They explained that with Chuck being gone and the DNA being messed up, he said, we really don't have much of a case.
With these setbacks, the DA's office decided that they would be fine with offering a plea bargain just to end the case. And so a plea bargain of manslaughter was reached.
James Di pled guilty to manslaughter and was released from prison after just a few years behind bars.
How disappointing was it that he walked after serving about 3 years?
Hugely disappointing. I wanted him to have to serve the remainder of his life in the Department of Corrections.
Do you think justice was served in this case?
I don't. It wasn't what we wanted, but it was the best outcome that we thought we could get at the time.
To me, no justice has been done in this case at all.
And despite her outrage, Vicky and those that love Kay, including her 2 children, did find some solace. A family that had been divided by whispers for 41 years could now move forward in peace. How would you like your sister Kay to be remembered?
She was a saint. She was just an amazing woman that I never had the chance to appreciate.
Kay was a gift. When I look at the old Super 8 movies with her sweet smile and her bright eyes, I can see her kind soul.